All right, here we are. What is it, day? Tuesday? Is that right? Yep, Tuesday 24th. Had to look at the calendars to make sure. So we're still in the beginnings of ecosystems, but we're really starting to branch out a little bit more into ecosystems. But one thing that I need to make sure that we are getting correct is biotic and abiotic factors and the fact that they interact. Yes, sir?
I watched the video that you did yesterday.
Awesome. So here is something that we're going to do in class today. We're actually going to be taking a look at the 4 different abiotic factors to see if they really do influence things in an ecosystem. Who can tell me the 4 main abiotic factors? Maddox. Sun, soil, temperature, and water. And I don't know if that's on here on another slide. I kind of hope it is. This device only. We've already watched that. And is abiotic on here? Come on, thing. Nope. I'll go back to this slide then. So it's down here. If we look at it, sun, soil, temperature, and water are the big things. So we are going to be taking these small little plastic cups, and we're going to be planting some plants today, some seeds. Here's what's going to happen. So let's take, for example, this first one here, sun. We're going to take some seeds. We're going to put it in the soil, good soil. We're going to water it. And we're going to put it over in the windowsill where the sun will shine on it all the time. Which is what plants need. Plants need sunlight. We're going to take one of those. It's going to be our test plant. And I'm going to keep it in the cabinet where it is dark all the time. And we're going to see, does sunlight have any effect on the way that plants grow? Question.
What's the difference from good soil and bad soil?
We're going to talk about that in just a second as well. Second, if you look here, we have water. So sun and then water. We are going to take some plants, put it in good soil, put the seeds in the good soil. We're going to water it, which we've already done with the other experiment. We're also going to take some seeds and put it in the soil, and we are not ever going to water it. And we're going to see, does that make a difference? Now, again, I think you're already starting to have some wheels turning in your head saying, well, wait a minute, Mr. Bullens, like, if we don't have any sun, I don't think the plant's going to grow well. If you don't water it, we've known that since like kindergarten, the plant's probably not going to grow, but we're going to do this experiment to see how much it affects it. Soil, to answer your question. I have 2 different types of soil. I have garden soil that I got from Lowe's. Obviously, that's meant for people to plant things in their garden. Do you think it's rich and full of nutrients? It is. It's super rich and super full of nutrients, so I think it's going to grow very well. I also went out to the baseball field this morning. You know that super kind of brownish red dirt that's on the baseball field that gets all over your nice clean white shoes when we go outside for recess and your mom gets mad and yells at Mr. Bullens? That red dirt, I have a big bucket of that over there. We're going to plant some seeds in that. Now, you can just kind of walk outside and look. Grass, baseball field. And you can kind of already tell where the better soil is, but we're going to test that theory out anyway. Sound good? Okay. And then our last abiotic factor that we're going to look at is temperature. We are going to take some plants and leave them in the room, which is, I would say, a fair temperature. Depending on what time of the day it is, it's usually like 70. Some mornings like 80 when I get in here and cut the fan off. But it's okay, right? It doesn't get overly hot and it doesn't get overly cold in my room. It's a normal temperature. We're going to take some plants. We're going to put one of them in the freezer to see if extreme cold has anything to do with it. And we're going to take one of those plants and leave it outside because, let's face facts, since the beginning of school, we've been under a heat advisory. Like every day, right? No recess for us. Every afternoon we have to stay inside or go to the gym. Although today we're going to rearrange that for a little bit. But normally we have to stay inside because of a heat advisory. That means it is too hot for us to go outside. So I would imagine that's probably not super comfortable for plants outside either, right? We're going to check to see if that works. So we're going to look at sun, soil, temperature, and water. Obviously, while I'm doing the experiment, I'm going to pause the video for the people at home. You're going to have to imagine what that looks like. And we will try to maybe take some videos and post some updates as we go along. Sound good? All right, let me pause this video real quick. So I feel like at least for not like biotic and abiotic, I think there's still some people that need to make connections. Producers, consumers, and decomposers in all three classes yesterday really seemed to be something that people were really latching onto. People were saying, Mr. Bullens, producers are plants. They produce or they make their own food. Mr. Bullens, there's three types of consumers. Herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores eat plants. Carnivores eat meat. Omnivores eat meat and plants. And you guys are nailing that. We were just looking at the earthworms in the room. We know that they're decomposers. So are many types of insects, bacteria, and fungi, or mushrooms, are decomposers. And they break down dead things and end up making good soil, right? So we seem to have a good understanding of producers. Consumers, you understand. You know that we define consumers by what they eat. And again, as soon as I start asking you the question, what only eats meat? Everybody says carnivore. So there's not really any questions about that. People seem to understand that very well. Herbivores, fairly easy. Something that eats plants. And I think you guys have gotten a good job of doing that as well. And you've nailed carnivores. And you've nailed omnivores as well. Again, decomposers. One thing that we might not mention a whole lot in class, and I even think in our notes we just said worms, mushrooms, and bacteria. Don't forget that there are some insects that are also decomposers. They're breaking down dead things and releasing those nutrients back into the atmosphere, and they end up making good soil as well. That's something that I don't think that'll get too confusing though. A new word from yesterday was individual. And Max, I think it was very easy because we said, hey, if I say this morning you have individual work, people don't start partnering up in the room. You know, you've heard that term since probably like first grade. Oh, this means I have to do something by myself. And that's fine because you have individual animals or one of a particular species in an area. And you could study like one tiger cub. Or you could study the population, which is all of the members of one species in an area. And that's something we could look at as well. So yesterday we took a look at all of these different tiger videos. Tigers that live in a zoo, right? Tigers that live in a house. And we said that's not their natural what? What word did we use yesterday to describe, Raina, where a plant or animal naturally lives and grows? Habitat. Habitat is an area where a plant or an animal naturally lives and grows. And we even looked at the really cool plant, the Venus flytrap, and realized it grows in eastern North Carolina. And that's its habitat, at least one of its habitats. So again, we're kind of covering new vocabulary words from this week. And we will watch this together in just a second. Can't watch it now because that's copyright, but let's keep on going on. All right, a community. Is this a new word? It's not a new word. This is not a new word for us. We had this last week. If we look at all the living things in an area, the producers, consumers, decomposers, right? The living things, plants and animals in one area, we're looking at the community. So that's something that we covered last week. But again, those terms don't go away. They show up in vocabulary questions. They show up in the middle of a question. And you have to know what that word means in order to not miss it. New word for today that we're going to be taking some time to pause and write on the anchor charts and things of that nature is predator. A predator is an animal that hunts other animals for food. Lions, tigers, sharks are all predators. Why? They hunt other animals for food. Hopefully you have been studying your vocabulary words since I gave them to you last Friday, and we've already started the words this week. But if predator is here, and you're looking at an animal that hunts another animal for food, what's the most logical progression? What do you think the next vocabulary term is, Hunter? If you have predators, you have prey. A prey is something that is hunted for food. Now, again, if you look at this little thing down here, if you forget on the test between predator and prey and you get confused, stop a minute and take a second and say, all right, if I was a prey, I would be preying Please don't eat me. Right? The lion sneaks out of the tree. I'm looking like, oh, please, please don't see me. Right? Please let me be faster than Ashley. So that the lion catches her first. And I get inside. No, I'm just joking. I wouldn't do that, Ashley. All right, for this video, I'm going to stop here. We're going to stop at prey so that we can go backwards a few slides, which is what I would want other people, if you're at home, to do. Go back and watch some of these videos that we had to skip over today and take a look at those and see if we can get any new information. And we will stop there.